A new week, new topics to tackle. We got our homegirl legally hype it. It's time to believe the hype, and let's just dive right in.
Let's
Trump,
do
the NY Attorney General, has filed a major lawsuit against this man. Is this the other shoe finally dropping and hitting the floor?
Okay, so boom. I guess we're going to see, because what she said is that she is going to send it to the IRS because it looked like there's some criminal stuff going on there too. So what it looks like is the Attorney General, they have been investigating, looking into Trump and his business and what he got going on for like the last year. And what they found out is that he was lying on his paperwork, saying that his businesses and his property, Trump Towers, all of that was worth more than what it's really worth. And because of that, he was able to get more money in like loans and insurance and stuff like that, you know, making false promises so that these people think like, oh, it's cool. If something happened, you can cover it. But the reality is that was not the case.
He's been doing this for quite some time, though, and it seems like just now they're weighing in on him. I even remember seeing one of his family members that came out and actually exposed a lot of him. And it was a documentary that was on Netflix where they talked about he did certain things like that. So why now is it just now coming into play?
Okay, so boom, probably because they're trying to find every which way to make sure this man cannot run for re-election in 2024, right? So if they are unable to put him in jail, which is unlikely, right? We may see an indictment. It's very unlikely that we'll see him actually go to prison, right? But if we can't put you in jail, in prison, right, the least we could do is make sure you are uneligible to even try to run this country ever again in life. And so I think with everything that's going on, if nothing else, right, in the court of public opinion, a lot of people are going to be like, you're a liability. I wouldn't even vote for you, right? If you were able to run. But if we can eliminate even the option for you thinking that you could run for any type of office anytime soon, we're going to go ahead and take care of that and just put it on the table right now.
I want to make sure he can't run a marathon when this is all done.
At this point, he may not be able to.
And how about like some of those things that he's saying? Because we know during the Capitol riots, he was a big part of the reason why those riots even happened. Now he's going through the same thing again, where he's basically saying this is a witch hunt and they're racist and they're out to get me. Are those dangerous words that are coming out of his mouth? And should we be a little concerned about what his followers could possibly do moving forward?
Okay, so boom, we already know the Trumpers are cult-like, right? The people who not messing with him no more, they already made it clear, like, we cool. You got too much going on. It's people going to jail. People, they all in my business and my tweets and my DMs and stuff. I don't got time for that. We cool, not messing with you. Part of the January 6th investigation, right, is because of his words. Did you incite your audience to get upset and pull up on the Capitol and do what they did because you were mad about the election results? That is dangerous. That is, you cannot do that. You are supposed to transfer your power over successfully. So now you're coming out and you're saying, oh, well, if I go to jail, then the streets is going to riot and stuff like that. You are inciting your audience to be like, oh, okay, well, he's telling us that's what we need to do. Like, that's what he's expecting from us. So we're going to do it. Right. So that is one of the issues. It is concerning. But again, the reality is like what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate your option to even have this type of platform to do this. But there's when people are brainwashed, and I don't want to suggest that everyone who supports him is brainwashed, right? Because he's still a person, and
right.
Whatever the case may be. But when you choose to disregard the facts that are coming out about what this man is actually doing, and what the evidence that's being presented, and you decide like, we don't care what they say, we're still gonna roll with it. It's nothing we can do about ignorance, right? There's nothing we can do about the people that decide to follow that. The only thing we can do as a society is make sure that you don't have a big enough platform, or you don't have the opportunities and the access to be able to put this country in any more demise than we're already going through right now.
Sounds like another charge to me.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's switch gears and talk about Ime Udoka, the Celtics coach who's being tried in two courts, the court of public opinion and also, the court of like where he work at, right? So he was in a relationship with Nia Long. They've been, doing their thing for a long time, but he had a whole nother relationship going on with a coworker, and now he's going to be, sitting out for a year. And what else can come from this? Is it fines as well?
Okay, so boom. So this is a Celtics issue, right? The Celtics is like, this is a violation of our rules. You ain't really supposed to be messing with your coworkers, right? We got rules and regulations in place for that. You can't really do that. So right now they're trying to figure out what his punishment is going to be, right? So it sounds like it's going to be at least a year suspension, which right. Which is crazy, right? When you think about what Robert Favre, what's his name? Robert Little Homeboy that was saying the
Sarver.
N-word.
Yeah.
Yeah, him. He was saying the N-word, right, multiple times, calling people, calling women, all kind of stuff, saying we want to stuff. What'd he get? A year suspension. Now he's telling the team, right? But that was a year suspension. You talking about somebody, baby daddy, who was cheating on the side, right? Because he had too much time on his hands in the middle of the night. You gonna give him a year suspension for that? So it begs the question, like, are there some other things in the background that we don't know, right? Because they're saying the relationship was consensual. Right. And of course, this was against the rules. But when you put this organization in jeopardy, thinking about where the Celtics came from last year, right? Like they went to the finals and all kind of stuff.
Yes, they did.
And the team is doing well. And I think what they have, they're going to start training camp and stuff soon. So right now the Celtics are trying to decide, like, how are we going to handle this, right? There may be a fine because you breaking rules, we break company rules. But right now it sounds like at least a year suspension.
So he is they're about to be in preseason, and that's what you're referring to. Yes. And my thing is some of the reports that they're putting out there, they're saying that Ime was known for sleeping around. So I don't know if maybe it was multiple people in the organization that he's been rumored to, but I will say this: Boston is known for being a pretty racist place, and he was named as one of the top coaches of last year. And like you said, he made it to the finals with that team. And do you think that has anything to do with it?
Okay, so boom, anything goes when it comes to racism. Right? Like racist people will find any type of way to kind of throw you under the bus, right? Throw you under the bus and make you feel some type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all could get on Brett Favre too while he was out here stealing money from Mississippi.
Excuse me, because they being real quiet about that.
Real quiet about that. But all of a sudden overnight, right, we got this bombshell. You know, you cheating on your girl. Well, I don't know if she's not his wife, right? Just
Beyonce, they have a son together.
So you cheating on your girl. Now there's this bombshell, right, in Boston. Again, like you said, Boston is known for being day out of pocket.
What's the biggest story? Let's be real. The biggest
story is that you stole welfare money from people in Mississippi. Only 200 people in Mississippi was able to get their welfare check, and that's one of the poorest states in the United States. They got more people than a little bit. Or the fact that another man got caught cheating. I mean, at this point in our life, who ain't been cheated on?
Come on.
That ain't the story.
But it's the media, people playing the media game, because we understand that, you know, people like more tabloidy headlines and will run with it and blow these things up and make them bigger than something that's actually important, like someone stealing from the poor. Reverse Robin Hood, like Brett. The guy's name, you said Brett Favre?
Brett Favre, who is a known figure for the league. And I think that's what the real problem is the fact that their beloved Brett Favre has been doing the grimiest stuff. And this is somebody that they put on the pedestal.
It's a deflect. He should be being rotisseried right now as we speak on every channel.
I'm talking about on broil, high. All the way. Turn fire up.
Really quickly, Legally Hype, can you just let the people know what Brett Favre is accused of even doing? Because some people are not even privy to the story.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, boom. Brett Favre was out here stealing people welfare money and used the money to build a new volleyball stadium at his alma mater, his daughter alma mater or whatever. And he worked with the governor at the time, the governor of Mississippi at the time, to get the money. They was texting back and forth trying to make sure the media don't find out where the money came from and how they did it. And they found out that basically the money that he got, they took it from the funds that were supposed to go to welfare recipients. So during that time, they made it very, very hard for the citizens to qualify for welfare. Again, Mississippi, you know, has more poor people than a little bit out there, right? Like they are one of the poorest states in America. And so it was people in need who couldn't get their welfare checks because their school got a new volleyball court.
That is
you know, and when you look at far and large, how many people are like, you know, being prosecuted for misappropriation of PPP loans? This is far worse. And the governor needs to also be in cuffs somewhere in front of somebody's court, jury, and jurisdiction. Like, it's bad. And we can't let this stuff get swept under the rug. So thank you so much for, shedding more light on that.
Absolutely.
Well, let's wrap things up with Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, because a couple weeks ago, it seemed like this family felt like they were the worst people that ever existed, and now it was a big misunderstanding.
Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, they settled out of court with this family. You know, there were allegations of like sexual abuse, you know, there's pedophilia, whatever the case may be, because of that video that they did that never really made it nowhere, but it was just floating in the universe. They settled out of court. The court dismissed the case without prejudice, which means they can't bring this up ever again. You can't sue these people for this ever again. You got your little shmoney. Now go on and go. We're done with it. The family put out a statement not too long ago. Remember last week or whatever, they was, oh, put her in jail and she's ruining our lives and they're just getting to the help. And then the other day, they like, she's a great person. I can't, like, she would never harm us. Like, we, you know, we're just glad that this is over with and she can move on with her life. Yeah. So they got their money and Tiffany and them names. Now Aries, he do his own thing. He ain't, you know, on the same market as Tiffany. But they got her bag messed up now. She talking about she can't even get work. She done lost, you know, her gigs and stuff like that behind this little nonsense. I don't want to say nonsense because people was hurt behind it.
I don't know if it's all the way nonsense, Legally Hype, because one thing that I did notice is that there is a second video. The second video involves the 14 at the time year old girl. And apparently Tiffany Haddish is showing her how to get fellatio with a sandwich. Now, that was something we haven't seen circulate, and I just wonder if that payoff included hiding that video.
Okay, so boom. So the way I look at it, right, because we're looking at evidence. So it's one thing when you're looking at a full-blown sex tape, right, Ray J, Kim K's type of thing. It's another thing when you're looking at a skit that is potentially inappropriate, right? It is film. You had a script or whatever the case may be. You let your kids go in there and film whatever was going on. Like, I don't know how you didn't know what was going on with your kids, but if you didn't know that this was happening with your kids when they were filming, then the whole point behind that video that they made makes a lot of sense, right? Because the whole context of the video, as gross as it is, right, as inappropriate as we all see it to be, the whole context was, this is how a lot of kids end up being sexually abused because they mama's out here, they working hard, they moving, they like, oh, let me trust the uncle, help me out real quick, I gotta go, I need to help. Then you don't know your uncle dirty or whatever the case may be. Now he messing with the little kids. So to me personally, looking at the evidence in totality, it's like, okay, well, points were made. Like, this is what can happen. So either, mama, you knew that your kids was going to film this type of stuff with your homegirl. You know what I'm saying? Or, I mean, I don't know how you didn't, but if you didn't, okay, cool. But then if you didn't know, then the whole point of the skit made a whole lot of sense because there's a lot of parents out here. I'm a single parent. I know how it is. I'm like, auntie, can you watch the baby real quick? Like, I got to go do this with the woo. A lot of single parents go through that, and you're not purposely putting your kids in harm's way, but you're like, I'm doing the best I can to like try to make it. Now, again, was it inappropriate? Absolutely, right? Was it disgusting? Absolutely. But how many crazy stuff have we seen in mainstream media, right? On the we all saw Precious,
right?
Come finish.
Good point.
No, you're right.
Right?
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you look at it in tandem, we've seen stuff like this before where it's definitely disturbing. But does it warrant someone's reputation being tarnished because they're being accused of being a sexual predator?
Yeah, because like, even if they like, you know, say, oh, it was a misunderstanding, people still don't bounce back from that. The damage has been done. Gigs will be lost, you know, money will be, you know, thrown into the fireplace.
Yeah, not when it comes to child molestation. That's something that definitely sticks. And it seems like to me that Aries Spears actually got away with his allegations or his side, because if Tiffany, because she said she don't speak to him at all. So I'm only assuming that's because he didn't go half with her on this hush money.
Okay, so bro, I mean, I think that is a very reasonable suspicion because let's be, Aries ain't got it like Tiffany. Okay?
Right.
No, we ain't got to even say it.
Tiffany got that box.
I don't even see Mad TV reruns like that. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, and I don't know how much you make on a comedy tour because I can't tell a joke to save my life, but I'm pretty sure it ain't the same amount of money you'd make if your movie was in AMC.
Very true.
AMC, right? So, I mean, I'm sure he had to put up a couple dimes, you know what I mean? Maybe he got a payday loan with Tiffany or something like that and make sure he could pay his piece off. But I'm sure that Tiffany's team was like, hey, check this out. Let's just go ahead and dead this situation so we can let it die for, you know, for a little bit before we put you back on the market. Then we'll get you back going. But Tiffany, you know, she got a lot of amazing people in her background, or, you know, in her team, who support her. She'll be okay eventually, but you know, we all make mistakes. I think that this was a mistake, and hopefully they could bounce back from it. And I hope that family heals too, because if they were really actually traumatized by this and going through the things that they alleged in their paperwork, then, you know, you pray for healing for them as well, because that you never know how people are going to take certain things, right? To us, we may be like, oh, okay, it is what it is. But if they really felt affected by this long term in the way that they alleged, then, you know, I'm praying for them as well. And I hope that, you know, even beyond the money, that they get the healing they deserve.
Well, as always, you broke it down and put it in a nice little ribbon and bow. Legally Hype, if people want to follow you, where do they go?
I am Legally Hype on all social media platforms. I'm on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Follow me. Thank you.
We are the Morning Hustle.